Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Sean, will you please call roll?
Deputy Mayor Wells.
Here.
Councilmember Baggett.
Here.
Councilmember DeCoursey. Here. Councilmember Holman.
Here.
Councilmember Pelosi.
Here.
Councilmember Trout-Manuel.
Here.
Councilmember Wagner.
Here.
Thank you. And tonight, under proclamations, we have one for Children's Dental Health Month. And if I could ask Wendy Dorr, she is the Outreach and Marketing Manager for the University of Washington Center for Pediatric Dentistry. Wendy, if you'd like to please come forward, and I will read the proclamation, and then if you have a few words that you'd like to say, we would love to hear from you. Excuse me. Mayor's Proclamation. Whereas February is Children's Dental Health Month, and whereas the American Dental Association held the first national observance of Children's Dental Health Day on February 8, 1949. The single-day observance became a week-long event in 1955, and in 1981, the program was extended to a month-long celebration known today as National Children's Dental Health Month. And whereas this month-long national health observance brings together thousands of dedicated dental professionals, healthcare providers, and others to promote the benefit of good oral health to children and adults, caregivers, teachers, and many others. And whereas good health can be achieved in part through good dental habits learned early and reinforced throughout life. Good oral health contributes to better nutrition, improved ability to concentrate, and improved school attendance. And whereas the future is, to a large measure, dependent on the good health of our families. And now, therefore, I, Nancy Backus, Mayor of the City of Auburn, Washington, do hereby proclaim February 2017 as Children's Dental Health Month in Auburn, Washington, and urge that all citizens and community organizers join in this observance, dated the 17th day of January 2017. Cindy, I will give you that, and thank you for the work that you do on behalf of our children. And if you would like to share with our audience and council.
Thank you, Mayor Backus and council and citizens and staff. Thank you very much for joining with us at the University of Washington Center for Pediatric Dentistry. You're one of 20 cities plus King County and Pierce County and the state of Washington who are this year declaring it Children's Dental Health Month in our local communities. We know that a child's oral health directly affects their ability to thrive, so your support and demonstrated commitment to your families and the children of Auburn mean a lot to us, to the families, and especially to the kids who will have a good chance. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And Wendy, if you would please go forward and accept the appreciation of council. Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to appointments. The Auburn Municipal Airport Advisory Board. City Council to confirm the following appointments to the Auburn Municipal Airport Advisory Committee. Each will be appointed to serve a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2019. Those would be Deanna Clark and Mark Corneye. Do I have a motion? Deputy Mayor Wells.
I move for the adoption of Deanna Clark and Mark. It's this one. Oh. Again, a double. I recommend the adoption or appointment of Deanna Clark and Mark Corneye to the Auburn Municipal Airport Advisory Board.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilmember Trout-Manuel.
I second that, Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Wells.
Once again, I appreciate that we have citizens of this caliber that are willing to volunteer to be on our various commissions and boards. And I also want to thank the mayor for a fine selection and allowing us to look at the applications in advance, and thank you.
And that is the policy, to have them available for you in advance. So glad you were able to do that. All right, are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the appointments of Deanna Clark and Mark Corneye to the Auburn Municipal Airport Advisory Board, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Passes. Sean, do we have any agenda modifications?
Yes, Chair. Resolution 5.
Yes, Chair. Resolution 5270 has been removed, and Resolution 5276 has been added to the agenda.
Thank you. All right, we have no public hearings this evening, so we will move to audience participation. This is the place on the agenda where the public is invited to speak to the City Council on any issue. Those wishing to speak are reminded to sign in on the form provided, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Is there anyone that would like to speak? Please come forward and give your name and address for the record.
Virginia Haugen, 2503 R Street, Southeast, Auburn. Very happy to have this lady here. I have been doing a little homeless work over the weekend and in the last couple of days, and it's very, very hard for homeless people to have access to nourishing food. I'm also aware, I became aware about 10 years ago that City of Auburn has started removing the minerals from our water. And I believe it's about those big, tall things that look like grain silos. If somebody can tell me that I'm wrong, I hope they will, and I'm sure that somebody will get in touch with me later if they think I'm wrong. Our kids need minerals for strong bones and healthy teeth and good, healthy brains. And I appreciate the fact that someone is willing to come here and speak to the issue, but I appreciate the proclamation. I'm not sure exactly who wrote that up, but I like the way it sounded. I forgot to bring my clean kit, but I had an opportunity to speak with someone who's involved in helping homeless people, and I know about the things that they need. I have some of those clean kits at my house right now, and if there's anyone in this room who would like to donate any small item that would go directly to facilities that help homeless people, I'm sure you can find me. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Final time, anyone else that would like to speak? All right, moving on. We have no correspondence this evening, so we will move to Council Ad Hoc Committee reports. Council Ad Hoc Committee chairs may report on the status of their ad hoc council committee's progress on assigned tasks and may give their recommendations to the City Council, if any. And I believe, if I am correct, we have 3 ad hoc committees currently active, first being Finance, and Chair is Councilmember Baggett.
Thank you, Your Honor. As members of the Council Ad Hoc Finance Committee, Councilmember Wagner and I reviewed the payroll vouchers and electronic deposits for approximately 2,016 claims vouchers and wire transfers for approximately 3.5 million, and 2017 claims vouchers and wire transfers for approximately 2.9 million for the periods December 29th to January 9th. And January 17th, 2017, respectively. All questions by the Finance Committee for the Finance Directorate were answered to the committee's satisfaction during the review, and the committee recommends council approval of these expenses.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the study session format, and that would be Councilmember Wagner.
Yes, Councilmember Holman, Councilmember DeCoursey, and I met again and wrote, we think, all of the corrections and suggestions that you made. So it will come back to the study session on the 23rd to discuss and to ask for the preparation of a resolution at that meeting. And also at that meeting, we'll be asking for volunteers for chairs and vice chairs of the special focus areas. So the 23rd is coming up. Then the rest of the schedule would be that on the 13th study session, we would review the resolution that's been prepared. And then on the 21st, we would vote, and on the 13th of March would be the actual beginning of the process if all those other things are approved. Thank you.
Thank you. And last week, there was a council travel ad hoc committee that was created, and I believe Councilmember Pelosi, you are reporting on that.
Thank you, Mayor. The committee comprises of Councilmember Baggett and Councilmember Trout-Manuel, and we will be meeting, our first meeting will be on the this Thursday, 19th of January.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we will move to the consent agenda. Is there one more? Yes. Sorry. Councilmember DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. We have an ad hoc committee to review the process of selecting the deputy mayor on an annual basis. And the committee members are Councilmember Bill Pelosi and Councilmember Yolanda Trout-Manuel. We met this evening at 5:45 for our first meeting. We will be meeting again on February 6th, February 21st, March 6th, and March 20th to review the process. And we're also going to explore other local jurisdictions and what they do in their processes to report that back to the council. And we will be making our presentation to the full council on March 27th.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, now we will move to the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered by the City Council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Do I have a motion? Deputy Mayor Wells.
I move for the approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilmember Baggett. Can you turn your microphone on?
I second the motion, Your Honor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Wells.
The first item on the consent agenda is requesting approval of the minutes from the January 3rd, 2017 City Council meeting. The second item has to do with claims vouchers, third, payroll vouchers, both of which the Ad hoc Finance Committee reviewed and recommended that we approve. The fourth item is Public Works Project number CP 1408, and this is going to allow for the final payment for the enclosure of the 17 hangars that we have out at the Auburn Municipal Airport, which I want to note are fully rented. And I recommend that this be approved.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Passes. Right, we have no unfinished business. We have no new business. We will move on to ordinances. The City Attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ordinance number 6634, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, amending sections 27620, 27640, 27710, 27720, 27740, and 27750 of the Auburn City Code relating to the city's tourism promotional efforts.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Deputy Mayor Wells.
I move for the approval of ordinance 6634.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilmember Holman.
Second.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Wells.
We had a presentation at our last study session from Director Lean, our economic development person, and what he's trying to do is clean up the tourism committee and the lodging tax group, cleaning up the membership and getting the right numbers so that we have no longer problems with quorum, and to make sure that we clarify the issues that the various committees work with.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Councilmember Pelosi.
Thank you, Mayor. During our study session, we had recommended some language changes, and those have been incorporated into this document. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of ordinance number 6634, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Passes.
Ordinance number 6635, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, amending Auburn City Code Sections 34600 and 34610 of the Auburn City Code relating to funds.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Deputy Mayor Wells.
I move for the approval of ordinance 6635.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilmember Trout Manuel.
I second that, Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Wells.
Once again, our finance department is always looking for ways that we can be more thrifty and use our time more constructively. What we're doing is creating a petty cash account for the pantry, which will allow us to do reimbursements. We'll cut out a lot of the paperwork, but still have the accountability. It's also closing out some of the other petty cash accounts that are no longer in use. This attention to fine detail is the reason why our finance department and our director of finance continues to get, I don't know, are we into year 17 of the awards or 16?
Just 16.
Just 16. So this is this attention to detail I hope that we'll all approve.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Councilmember Pelosa.
I would just like to thank Joanne Walters from the Senior Center. She has been at this for several years and has been doing a remarkable job. And this new policy will make her life easier in procuring those senior foods. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with you. Joanne Walters does an incredible job down there making sure that she's providing healthy food options for the seniors at very reasonable rates. Right, if there are no other questions or comments, all those in favor of ordinance number 6635, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Passes.
Resolution number 5276, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, declaring an emergency regarding the need to make repairs to hangars at the Auburn Municipal Airport.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Councilmember DeCoursey.
Mayor, I move for the adoption of Resolution 5276.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Deputy Mayor Wells.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Councilmember DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a emergency declaration to take care of some structural issues out at the hangars at the airport. And it's one of those issues where if we don't take care of the problem now, it's going to exacerbate and cause tremendous damage. So this is something we need to do this evening.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Councilmember Wagner.
There are ways to repair these kinds of defects. I worked for a company that made these for a long time, and we spent as much time repairing them as we did selling them. So I'm encouraging the people who are going to pick the person to do this, or the company to do this, to ask them about their expertise in repairing beams as well as designing new ones.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilmember Pelosa.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had to say something about the airport. The airport these hangars were built approximately 1968. And you can imagine that those laminated beams over that many years. This is the first repair. So we have gotten the best bang for our buck since 1968. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Councilmember DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate Councilmember Wagner's guidance and wisdom in this, because yes, we know there's some repairs that can be made either by lagging or screwing into the beams to make them more structurally sound, or perhaps plating them and doing some things. But I think also, unfortunately, there may be some that have gone beyond that condition and will definitely need to be replaced. So I think we will naturally trust our Public Works Director and others to make sure we make the right decisions. But I've had experience with this with the number of properties I was involved in when I was at the King County Housing Authority. And once you can actually take a probe or a screwdriver and drive it right through the middle of the wood and pull it out, it's gone beyond repair.
Sign. Yeah,
Yep.
Not a good sign.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor Wells.
I want to thank Kevin and Ingrid for the time they spent putting this on the fast track, and the wonderful graphics that showed that all you had to do is practically touch the top of the snail and it would go right through the beam. So again, those visual things mean a lot to me, and I appreciated a thorough presentation.
Great. Thank you. Councilmember Trout Manuel.
I have to agree as well. When Ingrid and Kevin came to us and brought us samples of the pictures of the beams and stuff, and just seeing that was it a nail or dowel that you put through there, that made me decide, yes, we need to do this immediately. So thank you for doing that.
Excellent. Councilmember Holman.
Merely an item of declaration. I am a leasee at the airport and lease one of these hangars. It's not a conflict of interest, merely a declaration.
Thank you. Councilmember Baggett, you seem to be the only one. Anything you want to say?
I will just voice an attaboy and an attagirl for all of the information we received from the Public Works Department. And I second, third, and fourth, and fifth, and so on, all the way down the line. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Councilmember Wagner.
Yeah, this is getting a lot of comment, but I want to thank the mayor for making staff available to actually let us see these details. It means a lot to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Which one are you calling the horse? Kevin. Councilmember DeCoursey, you want to get us out of that one?
Yeah, who knew we'd have so much conversation on this, right? I think, there may be questions that may be raised as to why didn't we catch this before? Well, when you look at conditions, especially in the Pacific Northwest with our weather patterns and the issues we have, and as Councilmember Pelosi pointed out, and also with Ingrid and Kevin, the age factor in this, it's not something you can see on the surface always, so it does take its time to review it. However, it does point out, we have talked about this with the directors as well, of looking at a potential program we probably should put in place for doing some physical needs assessments on facilities, comprehensive needs assessments, to give a better understanding of what's happening in some of these structures. Now, there's a cost associated with that naturally, but it may also help us with some of our deferred maintenance and some of our preventative maintenance processes as we go forward. So just as a recommendation, we probably should explore that as we go forward.
Thank you. Any other seconds? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of resolution number 5276, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. It passes. And that concludes the regular business of the City Council meeting this evening, and we will move on to Mayor and Council member reports. At this time, the Mayor and City Council may report on their significant city-related activities since the last regular council meeting, and we will begin with Deputy Mayor Wales.
Thank you. This afternoon, we had another meeting of our Youth Council, and thank you, Mayor, for attending. It really adds a lot to our meeting when the kids get an opportunity to see, the top city manager or management. We did some exciting things today. We elected for next year, or the rest of this year and part of next year's, our president of the council, and her name is Sydney Campbell, and she has been our previous chair, and she does an excellent job. And we have a newbie for vice chair, and his name is Diego Escardo from Auburn High School. Is Sydney from Auburn High School also? Riverside. In addition, we selected 4 students to represent us again in March at the National League of Cities, 2 new ones and 2 people that will be experiencing it for the first time, 2 boys, 2 girls, so it really works out well with our chaperone. As we look to the future beyond the travel of these 4 kids, we're continuing to deal with recruitment. We can take up to 18 students, and we have about 14. And today we had 2 7th graders join us from Olympic, and I think that their grandfather was very excited that and he's going to make sure that they come each month. He was really excited when he found out that a couple of kids get to go to DC every year. We set some program goals for the rest of this year. The kids are very interested in working on raising money for cancer. And Diego's going to pull something together for that. And another topic that we've been working on, but not too successfully, but we're not giving up, is in the topic of school attendance. We want to see if we can do something to support the movement of full school attendance. If you look at kids even as early as kindergarten, you can tell from the first couple of months of school who are the kids that are going to be challenged by attendance. The other issue that we're going to be looking at, of course, which is pretty interesting, I thought, but probably, well, anyway, is sex ed. And their research has led them to believe that kids at the high school level find more meaning from sex ed when it's presented to them by younger presenters. And so the high school is working on modifying the curriculum, and they are going to bring some of those curriculum changes and share it with our youth council. And so that's what we did this evening. You're more than welcome to come and join us. And again, thank you, Mayor. We meet the first Monday, or the third Monday of each month, but except for when there's a holiday, like this month. And next month we have a holiday on a Monday too, so it will be on a Tuesday. Everyone is welcome, and we have a student back there from the Stillicum School District who is joining us tonight as part of one of her class requirements. She's required to observe some political action type things in another community, and we want to welcome you. We start at 5 o'clock. Again, and thank you back there for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to Councilmember Pelosa.
Thank you. I almost wasn't prepared.
Oh,
We could move past if you'd like.
Okay.
I didn't think so.
I had the privilege and honor of attending the National Society, the Daughters of the American Revolution, 36th Annual Awards Banquet this past Saturday. My wife joined me. And I'm doing something a little different, but I'm going to name off these kids because maybe they'll hear about it and, oh, that was nice. So the regent, who is the president of this Lakota chapter, Sally Jarvis, she presented the following awards. Christopher Columbus Essay Contest was awarded to Angie Brasher, Mountain View High School. The DAR Good Citizens Award, there are 3 of them, went to Andrea Arguta, Federal Way High School, and Delasha McNeil from Kent Meridian High School, and Haley Starr from the Muckleshoot Tribal High School.
oh, that's cool.
Good for her. And then the national chair, and everybody knows this lady, Hilda Merrihew, presented the following awards. Youth Citizenship Award, Lauren Blow, Auburn High School. Another one, Emma McFarland, Auburn Riverside High School. And then the junior ROTC, Cadet Allison Hand, Auburn Riverside High School. And American History teacher went to Aaron Hall, Mountain View High School. The DAR, this is real quick, the DAR was founded in 1890, and they're headquartered in Washington, D.C. A couple of years ago, when I was back at the National League of Cities, we toured their group and their headquarters. It was very interesting. This is a non-profit, non-political volunteer women's service organization dedicated to promoting patriotism, preserving American history, and securing America's future through better education for children. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Trout Manuel.
I'm going to yield my time to Mr. Baggett.
Councilmember Baggett.
Thank you. Thank you, council member. I attended for the first time 2 meetings, one on the 5th of January, one on the 11th, respectively, the Cities and Towns Association meeting, Pierce County, and also the EMAC, which is the Emergency Management Advisory Committee. And the cities and towns basically discussed the legislative agenda for each one of the cities that presented their plan for 2017, 2018. But the meeting primarily gravitated to the homeless situation going on in each one of our cities. And it seemed like a lot of the smaller cities in Pierce County were suffering from a lack of nonprofit organizations there to support the homeless, not only from a standpoint of housing, but also from shelters and other means. So I explained our mayor's task force on homelessness and the advances that we've made towards eliminating some of these problems by using our nonprofits, which we are fortunate to have in our city, and trying to encourage some of the other cities that were there at the meeting. Buckley was an example of one of them, the smaller towns, to work with us, perhaps, in coming up with some of the plans of how we can all work together regionally to support this problem we have in all of our cities. The second meeting, the Emergency Management Advisory Committee, basically was looking at just getting started for this year, a lot of issues that they were discussing as to organization and trying to get outreach to the citizenry about what we can do as a region regarding any possibility of, God forbid, any disasters such as a lahar or earthquakes and things of that nature, and what we can do to mobilize all of our resources. Also, the King County public health official was there, and she spoke directly regarding the mumps epidemic. And at the time, when we heard the last report, there were 88 cases. Well, she explained it's now 97, and that was at the date of the meeting, so I don't know whether it's gotten worse or better, but we do have a definite problem here specifically with that situation and that disease. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Holman.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, microphone.
I hope you all had a good Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday. And for the past 5 years, I've used my council members' report near this holiday to reflect on what his legacy means to me and to all of us, really. So what'd you do with your extra Monday off? I'd like to think that Dr. King would be pleased that many of us enjoyed a leisurely day off from work or school and even got to sleep in, perhaps. I didn't sleep in yesterday because for the past several years, it's been my honor to attend the University of Washington Tacoma's MLK Junior Unity Breakfast. The theme this year was Let's Talk About Action. I'd like to share some of the inspiring words from 2 of the young University of Washington presenters. The first was Christian Page. He read his poem, Philosophical Questions. One line in it almost brought me to tears. I requested a copy of his poem and will share it broadly when I receive it. The single line from it that affected me was, racism did not leave, it evolved. A frightening thought, isn't it? The second one was the alumni speaker, Kiana Hayes, class of 2008. She spoke of love in the face of adversity. Her summation was, fall in love with your today. Truly a message of hope when facing adversity. I don't know if Dr. King ever visited Washington State, but I do know that he would recognize Auburn's commitment to community. I make this assertion based on his words, and I quote, "In a real sense, all life is interrelated. All men are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single tapestry of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be, and you can never be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. This is the interrelated structure of reality and of life." End of quote. This has been a year with a lot of political rhetoric thrown around, and some of that vote for me bombast plays out and plays on our fears. Auburn is a very diverse community. Over 52% of Auburn residents are members of a protected class. In Auburn, we recognize the benefit and values of pluralism, a society in which members of diverse ethnic, racial, religious, gender, income, and ages maintain their traditional culture within a broader common civilization, a broader common community. To counter some of that potential fear-mongering, I'd like to end with these words again from Dr. King. "Violence is immoral because it thrives on hatred rather than love. Violence is impractical because it is a descending spiral ending in destruction for all. It is immoral because it seeks to humiliate the opponent rather than win his understanding. It seeks to annihilate rather than convert. Violence ends up defeating itself. It creates bitterness in the survivors and brutality in the destroyers. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can conquer hate." So God bless the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and God bless us all.
Thank you. Councilmember Wagner.
I thought about MLK Junior Day when I drove past one of the signs that we have at most of the entrances to our city that says we are building an inclusive community. And those signs have been up for several years, but I think it keeps reminding us every time we drive into town that that's our goal, is to make it an inclusive community in all the aspects of diversity that Councilmember Holman mentioned. The most significant meeting I attended this period was the Transportation Policy Board, the board that reports to the Puget Sound Regional Council, the planning organization for distributing federal transportation funds and doing metropolitan planning to maximize our transportation dollars. And the thing that I talked about, they're doing the update of their Transportation 2040 program. That's a plan that looks forward 24 years now. And the thing that I brought up and spoke quite a bit about was transportation demand management. That's TDM. And got a fairly good discussion going among the 30 or so members of the Transportation Policy Board about how that can work to reduce costs for transportation infrastructure. It's a lot like designing your water system. You have to design for the maximum use. You have to design for summer when everybody's watering their lawns, for the Super Bowl when everybody flushes their toilet at halftime. And all these things that you design for the maximum. And so if you can do traffic demand management and get people to carpool, to use transit, to travel at times when it's not peak travel, it's a lot of behavior change as well as specific project change. So the people working on that PSRC agreed that traffic demand management needs more emphasis within our 2040 update, and I believe that will happen.
Thank you. Councilmember DeCoursey.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, I want to thank Councilmember Holman for presenting that to us. I know whenever we go back to Washington, D.C., and I stand on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and stand on that spot where Dr. King gave his I Have a Dream speech, and even now it just sends chills up your spine. And that is one of the speeches in my life that has had so much impact on what I've done in my career, and hopefully what I've done as a public servant, because it is so important, the love aspect the dream aspect. And, you know, the comments he made about judging people by the context of their character, that is just so impactful. So thank you, John, for presenting that tonight. A couple of things for me. I attended the Senior Center Coffee Hour last Thursday, and although we had a small crowd, we had a lively one-hour discussion. And much of the discussion actually centered around our future plans for years out as we go forward with our downtown corridor. So I kind of gave everybody a little bit of a briefing of what we've done to hire consultants and what those consultants have brought us and what we've looked at for some of the potential plans for the downtown corridor, and had some very good response from the folks. So we had a great time together, although it was just a few of us there this time. Also today, I was down in the rain in Olympia attending the Affordable Housing Advisory Board meeting. We had a very long meeting without a break. It was very intense today. And just as a synopsis, the things on the agenda today included our 2017 legislative priorities and agenda and board priorities, where we voted on 4 specific items today to agree with the presenters that this is important for the Affordable Housing Advisory Board to present to the legislature. First one is the Condo Liability Act, which is a act that there's been tremendous amounts of litigation that have gone on with the condominium process due to defects. And quite honestly, nobody wants to build condos anymore because if they build the condo, they're going to get sued. So what this act does, it actually puts some process in place to allow some arbitration, some mitigation effects, to lessen the effects of what happens if there are defects, to get those repaired quickly enough so people are not impacted, and to kind of move forward with it overall. So we'll see where it goes in the legislature, but it's a very important piece of kind of revitalizing the condo construction process in the state. Second one is the preservation tax exemption. And this was a bill that was introduced last year by Senator Fain, of which he's going to reintroduce again this year. This provides a tax exemption specifically and mainly for private apartment owners, where they would take a certain portion of their apartment complexes and dedicate that percentage to low-income residents, and they would receive a tax exemption for that portion of it on their properties. The third item was the Housing Trust Fund preservation. We have asked for $200 million for the Housing Trust Fund. It looks right now that we're being funded at a level of about $116 million, but there are some earmarks that are going to be going forward as the long drawn-out legislative session takes place this year, where we can hopefully have some additional conversation and raise that number up even higher. And then also the last one was the supporting the Washington Youth and Families Fund, and this is a initiative by Building Changes, who supports youth and families, mainly homeless, of being able to provide outlets for them to seek and participate in affordable housing and transitional housing for them. This is a bill being sponsored by a couple different folks in the legislature, so it looks pretty promising that we may see some action on this one this year. We did have a fairly long discussion on the buildable lands issue, and this is presented by the Master Builders Association, and there was like 8 or 9 different subsets of this particular proposal for the bill for the legislature this year, and the members of the Affordable Housing Advisory Board weren't fully comfortable with some of those subsets and how they kind of married together with some other issues. So we've actually decided to table that until the next meeting, which is March 22nd, to review it again, knowing we'll still have plenty of time to be able to get this in front of the legislature even after we meet on March 22nd. The other item that was discussed was the low-income housing tax credit program. This was it's a long-standing federal program that provides tax incentives for private investors to allow developers to raise development money to build and renovate affordable apartments. I have personal experience with this. So just an example here in Auburn, the Green River Homes project over on 12th and L Street, which was formerly a King County King County Housing Authority public housing property, was revitalized when I was the director of capital construction and converted into a project-based Section 8 development using the low-income housing tax credit process. then the investor for that particular project was Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide Insurance invested $15 million in the project. They become basically co-owners of the project for a period of 15 years. At the end of 15 years, the Housing Authority reassumes and obtains full ownership of the property once again. But it's that $15 million that helped me provide $11.5 million to revitalize and redevelop Green River Homes into the nice property it is today. So it's a very important project, or a very important program. Senator Cantwell introduced a bill to extend and expand this program last year. And our understanding is that she's going to be reintroducing this into Congress again this year to make sure we can maintain and sustain the low-income housing tax credit program. And then finally, the AHAB, at our last meeting, sent a letter to the governor with our recommendations for the 2017 legislative session. And yesterday, Governor Inslee, and I'd like to read this, Governor Inslee forwarded a letter to the chair of the Affordable Housing Advisory Board. And it says, "Dear Chair Leonard, thank you for the recommendations from the Affordable Housing Advisory Board on strategies to address homelessness and the affordable housing crisis in our state. I have incorporated several of the AHAB's requests in my proposed 2017-2019 biennial budget. In order to make meaningful progress on this issue, we require a more thorough analysis of root causes affecting the lack of affordable housing in our state. Within the next 60 days, I'm asking you to convene a work group within the Affordable Housing Advisory Board, along with necessary subject matter experts from outside the organization, to examine our existing systems that contribute to our housing stock. Please examine how zoning, planning, permitting, development, and financing, and the construction processes can be improved to open increased opportunities for additional housing, define where barriers exist, and provide recommendations on how to remove these barriers. If you have other areas of consideration that will provide further insight and recommendations on how to increase affordable housing stock in the state, please include that in the work group's efforts. An initial letter of findings and recommendations should be submitted to the Department of Commerce in my office by June 1st, 2017. Recognizing this work will require more regular meetings for AHAB and external partners in order to produce findings and recommendations. Consulting with the Department of Commerce should it be necessary for additional support. Very truly yours, Jay Inslee, the Governor. I am going to be volunteering to serve on that committee. I think it's not only important, but the Governor says we have a crisis in our state. I fully agree with that, and we need to work to mitigate the crisis. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, lots of good work going on by all of the council. Councilmember Wagner.
I'd like to comment on the senior center group that you talked with, Councilmember DeCourcy, and it's interesting that they would focus in on downtown, because downtown is so important to a city's image, to its economy, to everything. And as he mentioned that we had hired some consultants, I can imagine some seniors saying, why do you need a consultant to know what to do? But we did hire a very high-priced downtown kind of guy named Mark Henshaw several years ago. And he realized our need, our goal of putting a lot more human beings in housing downtown. And he said, how about, instead of just having one corridor through town, you have one going at 90 degrees on Division Street. Well, you can see what's happened. We've got a lot of people coming to town to live right here, by the transit station, by the grocery store, by all the things. And so it works, and I'm just pleased that seniors recognize how important that is to this city.
I agree. Thank you, Councilmember Wagner. Few things for me for the last few weeks. On January 4th, I was reappointed to the All Home Coordinating Board. The coordinating board was consisting of approximately 30 members, and we also had an executive committee, which I was on, and those two boards have now merged, and now we have a 15-member board so that we can be a little bit more nimble and respond to issues a little bit more quickly. And on Friday, we received a good piece of information, great information, as a matter of fact, that our HUD application in King County to participate in their youth homelessness demonstration program was successful. And we are one of only 10 grants and will receive $5.4 million with the opportunity to renew that annually through our Continuum of Care application. And we'll be able to apply to HUD this year to implement programs. And those funds will help get us to the goal of housing all homeless youth and young adults, eliminating the vast disparities based on race, gender, and sexual orientation, and for those becoming homeless, ensuring that it's only brief and one time. And I would venture to say that our very own Auburn Youth Resources will be one of the recipients of some of that grant money to continue the great work that they're doing, not just in the city of Auburn, but in surrounding communities. On the 5th of January, we had our monthly meeting, our directors with the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. And the main topic on our discussion this time was about the Cities and Schools goal. Cities and Schools is created by the cities of Auburn, Algona Pacific, and the Auburn School District, and Green River Community College, and the Muckleshoot Indian Tribe. And we have taken on a new goal within that organization of helping to create and grow middle-income family wage jobs. We know that not all students in the Auburn School District are college-bound, but all students deserve to be able to make family wage jobs. So we are going to be focusing our efforts on how do we grow the jobs within this community of Auburn. The Auburn School District and Green River Community College, we have met with them already, and they are already identifying areas where they can partner, one of them including GIS opportunities. So we're very excited about what will become of our group Cities and Schools. Also on the 5th, we had the first meeting with the University of Washington for the Livable Cities Year to review the projects that we had the students working on for the first quarter. And we did some lessons learned, what did we like, what didn't we like, and some of the challenges. And some of the upcoming projects for the winter and spring quarters will include low impact development, food waste, healthy food options, and emergency preparedness. So the kids in those programs at the University of Washington sign up. Some of them didn't know they were signing up to have to be part of the project, but I think it's been a very enthusiastic partnership, and the University of Washington has now put out an RFP for the second city that will be eligible to be Livable Cities Year. And we have promised that we will be great advocates because the program has been very beneficial to us already and will continue to be throughout the remainder of the school year. It's invaluable to get the enthusiasm of those students before they've realized there are certain things that you just can't do, that we think we just can't do. The kids don't know that, and so they will move forward in a manner that we might not even think of, and it's very exciting. On January 6th, I was invited to be part of a panel up at Green River College with the new Campus Leadership Institute. And it was a panel, there were three of us on the panel, and we were talking about our experiences in leadership and those of us that had been involved in politics, how we got into politics, and how we deal with some of the issues that face us on a daily basis. One of the other panelists was Sharon Novice, and she is the founder and executive director of the Equity and Education Coalition. Fascinating woman, and she is also now on the Board of Trustees at Green River College, so it was wonderful to be able to spend some time with her. I'm surprised that none of you talked about the Economic Forecasting Conference that we attended on the 12th. John, I just knew for sure you would talk about that.
You really didn't need me speaking longer.
Well, the City of Auburn was one of the main sponsors for the event this year, and Doug Lean, our Economic Development Manager, did a great job representing the City of Auburn. We had a table and display out front. He had lots of great communications with potential businesses, and to just allow others to hear more about the great things that are going on in the City of Auburn. I had the opportunity to introduce Governor Jay Inslee, fresh off of his inauguration, and he gave a speech to us talking about the benefits of the state of Washington and the great work that's being done. There were some economists there talking to us. One of the things was about consumer confidence. It's at a local peak, and small businesses are feeling confident enough to hire and grow. So that's great news for the King County area, for the Puget Sound region, and we will continue to move forward in that vein. We heard from some business people from the San Francisco area about how they have priced themselves out of housing. And there was one story shared about a nurse who works 4 days a week in San Francisco and commutes back to Oregon. She cannot afford to live in San Francisco, and she finds it more affordable to live in Oregon and commute to San Francisco 4 days a week and then fly back home. And that's still far more affordable for her. So, lessons learned, we don't want to be the next San Francisco when it comes to the housing market. On January 13th, several of the council members and I attended the 10th anniversary of a Korean American Day celebration at Auburn Performing Arts Center. And that is a law that Governor Gregoire signed into existence 10 years ago. And we were able to provide welcoming remarks and read the proclamation. And one final item is yesterday, sadly, I attended the funeral of Terry O'Grady, who is a family friend and a retired optometrist in the city of Auburn, and my condolences go out to his wife, Carol, and to their family. It's a wonderful family, and Terry will be missed greatly. City Attorney, do we have any need for an executive or closed session?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we are adjourned.